Stay.
Mm-mm. Oh my God.
And then I started doing my research and I started talking to other victims. I should have never signed that non disclosure agreement, but I did. I took the blood oath, and so did my first husband,
Whoa.
and I left.
That's why it ain't never been right since, because you left
Exactly.
it. You don't leave
Exactly.
anything like that.
I did. And he was paid to.
Everybody knows 50 Cent and Jay-Z have never really seen eye to eye. Their history is layered, complicated, and refuses to stay buried. So when fresh allegations started swirling around Jay-Z, 50 Cent didn't hesitate. He jumped right into the mix, adding fuel to a rivalry that's been simmering for over 2 decades. Back in 1999, 50 Cent wasn't the global superstar we know today. He was still Curtis Jackson, a hungry underground artist with a bullet-riddled past and an unbreakable drive. Instead of playing it safe, he dropped one of the boldest diss records in hip-hop history, How to Rob. The track was satirical, clever, and fearless. 50 imagined robbing just about every major name in the game. The fun has come up. Jay-Z made the list. It wasn't a literal threat. It was strategic shock value designed to get the industry's attention. And it worked. At the time, Jay-Z was at the peak of his powers. Fresh off Volume 3, Life and Times of S. Carter. He took the jab personally and clapped back hard during a freestyle at Hot 97 Summer Jam that same year. That moment cemented their tension in hip-hop folklore. Years later, when asked to describe Jay-Z in just a few words, 50 didn't reach for greatest or loyal. He simply said, good business. Classic 50, calculated, minimal, and loaded with meaning. But here's what a lot of people miss. In a 2003 Rolling Stone interview, 50 admitted that Jay's response actually didn't offend him. In fact, he saw it as validation. If Jay had ignored him completely, 50 said that would have meant he wasn't a real threat. The clapback proved he was shaking the right cages. That early friction, according to 50, helped accelerate his explosive rise. And rise he did. By 2003, 50 Cent had linked up with Eminem and Dr. Dre, and Get Rich or Die Trying took over the world. The album moved over 9 million copies in the U.S. alone. In the Club wasn't just a song, it was a cultural reset. Even Jay-Z saw the storm coming. In a 2013 Breakfast Club interview, he admitted warning his Rockefeller artists, Beanie Siegel, Memphis Bleak, and others, that their window was closing fast because 50 was about to take over. Instead of escalating into all-out war, the two giants found surprising middle ground. They co-headlined a Rock the Mic tour in 2003 and even appeared together in a Reebok commercial, freestyling over in the Club. On the surface, it looked like mutual respect between two bosses, but 50 being 50, he couldn't resist keeping score. He later boasted that his G-Unit sneakers outsold Jay-Z's S, Carter line 6-1, and he said it like he was updating the scoreboard in a championship game.
One little fact. I actually have verifiable knowledge of all 15 of Mr. Carter's illegitimate children that he hides.
As the years went on, both men evolved from rappers into full-fledged moguls. 50 expanded G-Unit into TV, film, and branding. Jay-Z built Roc Nation and positioned himself as the ultimate blueprint for hip-hop entrepreneurship, even with occasional collaborations, like Jay hopping on the 2007 remix of I Get Money. The underlying tension never fully vanished. It just went underground. Then 50 started taking more direct shots in interviews. He questioned Jay's direction, his music, and eventually stepped into more personal territory. In 2008, he made a comment that raised eyebrows across the culture. He suggested that most people didn't really know who Jay-Z was until he married Beyoncé. He didn't walk it back. Years later, he doubled down. 50 wasn't necessarily saying Jay lacked talent. His point was sharper. The mainstream glow, the elite acceptance, the billionaire status, and the untouchable aura all intensified dramatically after that union. In 50's view, Jay's transformation from street rapper to polished global icon got a massive boost from who he chose as his partner. It was a cold, calculated observation, and one that still stings for many Jay-Z supporters.
15 years old, flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning in a hotel room, auditioning. at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl.
With no parental consent.
With no parental, nobody. She was flown. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone.
The tension reached another level in recent years as 50 began openly addressing the darker allegations surrounding Jay-Z. The biggest flashpoint came around the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show. Hip-hop's biggest names, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar, took the stage in what many called a West Coast victory lap. Logic said 50 Cent, one of the most successful and iconic artists of his era, should have been a lock. But according to 50, it wasn't that simple. He claimed Jay-Z, whose company Roc Nation had been producing the Super Bowl halftime show since 2019, actively tried to keep him off the stage. It took Eminem, 50's longtime brother, and the man who signed him, to draw a firm line. Eminem reportedly made it clear. If 50 wasn't performing, neither was he. When 50 broke the story down on Big Boy's Neighborhood, he didn't hold back. The NFL supposedly had issues with him, but no one could clearly explain what those issues were. Vague excuses, no real answers. 50 suggested the real resistance came from deeper industry politics and old rivalries. He pointed to the sheer dominance of G-Unit, Eminem, and Dr. Dre during their peak, a level of power that made certain people uncomfortable.
Surgeons, looking for a new life, Jay-Z too, Beyonce too, and we're gonna round up all the See, I love a good gay man. I just can't stand him. And that's what it is.
Would that be?
You want to know what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
Other voices in New York hip-hop have echoed similar sentiments. Cameron recently questioned Jay-Z's commitment to the culture, noting how he performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame event but stayed absent from major hip-hop 50 celebrations. Tony Yayo backed the idea, contrasting Jay's polished distance with 50's consistent street-level presence. 50 also took shots at Jay's 2017 album 444, posting, then deleting an Instagram video where he jokingly called it golf course music, suggesting Jay had drifted so far from the streets that his sound now appealed more to sophisticated, buttoned-up crowds than core hip-hop fans. When directly asked about the serious allegations facing Jay-Z, 50's response was measured but cutting. He admitted he had been throwing shots earlier without full context, but now believed Jay's team had been quietly made aware of claims. He added, "I hope it works out, but with his family, those accusations are crazy." Jay-Z has denied all allegations and largely stayed silent in response to 50's commentary. Meanwhile, 50 continues to position himself as the one willing to ask the uncomfortable questions others avoid. Critics often frame 50's energy as jealousy, pointing to a massive gap between Jay-Z's reported $2.5 billion net worth and 50's estimated $40 to $50 million. But 50 pushes back hard. This isn't about money. In his eyes, no amount of wealth or success should place anyone above accountability. At its core, this long-running tension is about more than charts, tours, or sneaker sales. It's about legacy, power, cultural representation, and who gets to define success in hip-hop without facing scrutiny. 50 Cent isn't letting this story die quietly. Between his social media presence, upcoming documentary projects, and relentless commentary, he keeps the conversation alive. Whether you see him as a truth-teller calling out industry hypocrisy, or someone tearing down another successful black man, is up for debate. But one thing is certain, this beef still has chapters left to write.